a voice that, once you heard it, carved itself into your memory and never left. A voice that came from the Irish countryside, broke through every barrier the music industry could throw at it, and then, on a cold January morning in 2018, went silent forever. This is the story of the Cranberries, the rise of one of the most powerful bands of the 90s, the song that shook the world, and the tragic end of Dolores O'Riordan. And trust me, there are parts of this story that most people have never heard. It all started in a two-bedroom cottage, about 5 miles outside the city of Limerick, in a tiny place called Ballybricken. Dolores O'Riordan was the youngest of 7 children, 5 brothers and 1 sister. Her father was a former farm laborer who had been seriously injured in a bike accident, leaving him unable to work. Her mother dreamed of Dolores going to college, maybe becoming a music teacher, a stable life, a quiet life. But darkness lived alongside the ordinary. Years later, Dolores would reveal that she had suffered abuse at the hands of an older man during her childhood, and that at the age of 7, she witnessed her sister accidentally burning down the family home.
Who are we mistaken?
She once told a journalist that she carried a lot of secrets about those early years. Growing up in a house full of boys shaped her. She became tough, forward, a little pushy by her own description. She was always singing, always. At the age of 5, a nursery headmistress stood her up on a piano and had her sing for the entire class. That kept happening, year after year. She learned the piano.
It's not my family in your head.
She played the church organ for about 8 years, singing Gregorian hymns and chants in a place where the church was the center of everything. Popular music was nowhere near her world, but the music was already inside her. By the time she was 12, she had written her first song, a piece called Calling. She became known at school as the girl who wrote songs.
Tanks and their bombs and their bombs and their guns.
And as she moved through her teenage years, her relationships with boys became the fuel that lit her writing on fire. She once reflected that boys would tell you how mad they were about you, but the moment you opened up about your own feelings, they changed. That frustration, that longing, that emotional honesty would become the engine of everything she ever wrote. In 1990, word reached Dolores through a friend that a local band named Cranberries Saw Us, a name that if you said it quickly sounded like cranberry sauce, was looking for a new singer. The band had just lost their male vocalist, and up until that point they were more of a novelty act, with song titles that told you everything you needed to know about where they were.
Come on, sing it! In your head.
But brothers Noel and Mike Hogan on guitar and bass, along with drummer Fergal Lawler, had something more in mind. They wanted a female voice, something shimmering, something dreamy. Dolores lugged her keyboard across Limerick at the age of 18, wearing a pink tracksuit, and showed up to audition. Noel Hogan would later remember being blown away that this small girl from Limerick had such an incredible voice, and that the fact she was not already in a band felt like a miracle. Dolores, for her part, was not impressed with their existing songs, but could see the potential in their playing. She knew, no matter what their first impression of her was, that the minute she opened her mouth, they would be sold. She left that audition with an instrumental track made of 4 looping chords. She came back a week later with lyrics and a melody. That song was Linger, and it would become one of the biggest hits of the 1990s. The lyrics were inspired by her first boyfriend, a 17-year-old soldier who had written her lovesick letters while deployed to Lebanon. From that moment, the Cranberries were born. Now, if this story is bringing back memories for you, drop a comment and let me know which Cranberries song hit you the hardest. I want to hear your story. The band recorded a 4-track demo at a local studio called Zurich, owned by a musician named Pierce Gilmore. They played their first show at a basement club called Ruby's in a Limerick hotel, and by all accounts, it was terrifying. Dolores was turned sideways, the guys had their heads down, and they had about 6 songs to their name. But the demo started making the rounds. Noel quit his job fixing cash registers and began mailing tapes to every label and radio station he could find addresses for. When one of those tapes came back, the label had addressed it to the Cranberries instead of Cranberry Sauce. And just like that, the name stuck. The labels came calling: Rough Trade, Virgin, Island, EMI. All the members quit their day jobs. 32 record company representatives flew into Limerick to watch them play at a local university showcase. Dolores had never even heard the term record company until she was 18. They signed with Island Records, the same label that was home to U2. The road to their debut album was anything but smooth. Early live performances were rough. Things broke down on stage constantly. Dolores slept across her bandmates' laps during long van rides through England. Their initial studio sessions with Perce Gilmore fell apart after he started adding dance beats and industrial guitar to their sound, which the band hated. He was replaced by Stephen Street, who had produced records for Morrissey. And in 1993, the Cranberries released Everybody Else Is Doing It, So Why Can't We? The album did not explode overnight. The first single, Dreams, slowly gained traction at college and alternative radio stations, and MTV began playing the video on programs like 120 Minutes and Alternative Nation. Island Records played it smart. They sent sampler cassettes with Dreams and snippets of other tracks to independent record stores. They mailed postcards to thousands of people pulled from magazine subscription lists. They were deliberate about one thing above all else: no food tie-ins, no cranberry sauce jokes. They wanted the band to be taken seriously as musicians. It worked. Everybody Else became the most successful debut album from an Irish band, outselling even U2's Boy. It moved 6 million copies worldwide, with 4 million of those in America alone. As Dolores would later reflect, it was nearly impossible to break through in Europe without first conquering England, and being Irish made that even harder. Being from Limerick instead of Dublin put every possible odd against them. But here is where the tension really started to build. Even before the debut broke big, the band had already started writing their second album on the road. And with that second record came the song that would change everything. Dolores brought a demo to the sessions for their sophomore album that was tentatively titled In Your Head. It was unlike anything the Cranberries had done before. Harder, angrier. When the band initially tried to give it their signature, sweet indie pop treatment, Dolores pushed back. She told them this was not going to work. This was a song born from fury. She wanted harder guitar, heavier drums. She wanted the music to reflect what she was feeling inside. And when they finally locked into the sound, they realized something important. You could be heavy and still have melody. The song was eventually renamed Zombie. It was an anti-war anthem aimed directly at the religious and nationalistic violence in Northern Ireland. A conflict known as the Troubles, that by then had claimed the lives of roughly 3,500 people and injured tens of thousands over more than 3 decades. One specific incident lit the fuse for Dolores. On March 20th, 1993, explosives hidden beneath a garbage can in the English city of Warrington killed a 3-year-old boy and a 12-year-old boy and injured dozens of others. The Cranberries were touring the UK at the time, and Dolores heard the news while sitting on the tour bus in London. That grief stayed with her. Late one night on that same tour, alone with an acoustic guitar, she wrote Zombie. What most people do not know is that Island Records urged the band not to release it as a single. The label even offered Dolores $1 million to work on a different song instead. According to their former manager, Alan Kovac, she ripped up the check. He remembered her as a very small, fragile person, but fiercely opinionated. She believed she was an international artist and felt the need to move beyond love songs and address what was happening in Ireland. And stay with me here, because what happened next with this song is something most fans never knew. The music video became iconic. Director Samuel Bayer, the same filmmaker behind Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit video, flew to Belfast shortly before the ceasefire to capture real footage. Those are real British soldiers and real local children you see in that video. Dolores, painted gold and surrounded by silver cherubs, became one of the most striking images in 90s music television. Zombie went to #1 in multiple countries, was certified platinum in Germany and Australia, and the band even performed it live at the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony honoring those who brought peace to Northern Ireland.
Heart is taken over.
Their second album, No Need to Argue, sold nearly 20 million copies worldwide. But the success came at a devastating cost. The band toured the world 3 times in just 3 years, never taking more than a 6-week break. O'Riordan developed a deep mistrust of the media after British tabloids published false stories about her. She sued one newspaper that made up claims about her conduct on stage in Hamburg, Germany. Irish tabloids camped outside her home. Breakup rumors swirled constantly. Their third album, To the Faithful Departed, sold 4 million copies, but was seen as a steep decline. The tour for that record collapsed when Dolores injured her knee, and the entire schedule was scrapped. Behind the scenes, she was dealing with what she would later call a full mental breakdown. She hated singing. She hated being on stage. She hated being in the Cranberries. She wanted to be a shopkeeper, a hairdresser, anything that would give her a normal life. She missed making her own toast in the morning and calling a friend just to see what was happening. It was the birth of her first child that pulled her back. She started singing again. By the late 90s, the Cranberries were less focused on chart numbers and more focused on something far more important: happiness. They released Bury the Hatchet in 1999 and Wake Up and Smell the Coffee in 2002. And while neither matched the massive sales of their early records, the band was still selling out arenas and Dolores was becoming a mother and finding peace. But after parting ways with their label in 2003, the band announced a hiatus. They barely saw each other for years. When they regrouped in 2009, things seemed promising. They released Roses, one of their strongest albums. But by 2012, Dolores was battling addiction to pills and alcohol. Her marriage fell apart. She was arrested in 2014 after causing a disturbance on a flight and headbutting a police officer. She was diagnosed as bipolar. She moved to New York, lived in hotels, and started a side project called DARK with former Smiths bassist Andy Rourke. And yet her bandmates noticed that in her final years, the right combination of treatment seemed to bring her back to herself. Fergal Lawler said she had started talking openly about her psychological struggles and was getting real help. Noel Hogan said that during their last rehearsals, you would not have even known anything was wrong. In 2017, the Cranberries released Something Else, an album of older and newer songs, performed unplugged and with an orchestra. Dolores was busy. She was planning a new DARK album, working with the Cranberries, and preparing to record a vocal part for a cover of Zombie by the American band Bad Wolves. The day before she was supposed to enter the studio for that session, she was found dead in her London hotel bathroom. She had flown in from New York the week before. In the early hours of January 15, 2018, she left 2 voicemail messages for a label executive, sounding positive, talking about her children, her new projects, and how excited she was about the Bad Wolves cover. She even sang a bit of the Verve's Bittersweet Symphony on the recording. But that same morning, at 9:16, she was found unresponsive. The cause of death was ruled accidental drowning. Her blood alcohol level was significantly elevated. 4 days after her passing, Bad Wolves released their cover of Zombie. It topped the rock charts for weeks, but her bandmates were not thrilled. Lawler admitted it was not his cup of tea. Hogan felt it was released too soon and called the whole thing insensitive. Bad Wolves donated $250,000 from the song's proceeds to Dolores' children. The Cranberries released their final album, In the End, in April of 2019, pieced together from the demos Dolores had recorded with them in her last months. Stephen Street produced it one final time. And when it was done, the surviving members announced what everyone already knew. The Cranberries were over. There would be no replacement. There would be no continuation. Because a band like the Cranberries was never really about the hits, or the album sales, or the chart positions. It was always, from the very beginning, about that voice. That impossible, unmistakable, once-in-a-generation voice that came from a two-bedroom cottage in the Irish countryside and somehow found its way into every corner of the world,